Hello, everyone, and welcome to the College Tracker Show. Today we have RIT, which is Rochester Institute of Technology, with us today. So, before we get started, if you're in the Zoom room and you have questions or comments, etc., you can write that in the Q&A box, and we'll get that over to our RIT team. And then those that are watching via live stream, just make sure you write it in the comments and we will bring it into the Zoom room. So we'll start with introductions and then we'll get started. So, Mark.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Mark Munzer. I'm one of the Senior Associate Directors of Undergraduate Admissions. I'm also an alumnus of RIT, and I'm the Canadian representative. I am based in Rochester, but I'm here for all of your questions connected to admissions or learning about the university, and also scholarships and financial aid.
Coach Celeste.
Good evening, everyone. Celeste Brown. I am the head women's ice hockey coach here at RIT. I'm also an alum of 2015, graduated with a degree in sociology and anthropology.
Coach Bill.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Garno. I'm the men's soccer coach at RIT, and I'm a alum from a year I don't care to let you know about.
Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Coe. I am the goalie on the women's ice hockey team, and yeah.
And Joey.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joey Golden. I just finished my second year. I'm on the men's varsity soccer team, and I'm an MIS major.
Awesome. Thank you for those introductions. Just one more reminder, just make sure you write your questions, whether it be admissions or for the coaches or the student athletes we had today, write that in the Q&A box. Thank you. So over to you, Mark.
All right, thanks so much. I'm going to ask the coaches a few questions and then the students a few questions, and then we'll get into a presentation to learn more about RIT and ways to connect after today. So we'll start with Celeste. Can you tell us more about your team, about the conference that you're a part of, the division sport that you are in, and just anything else you want to share about the team?
Yeah. So first and foremost, we're Division I sport, and that is the highest division in the NCAA. We participate in what's called College Hockey America, or CHA for short. And our league is made up of Syracuse, Mercyhurst, Robert Morris, Penn State, Lindenwood, and ourselves. Our team is a pretty incredible group, but some important stuff to highlight is that we're made up of approximately half currently Canadian students and half Americans. Our Canadian students range from all over Canada, Western Canada, Eastern Canada, and we really love our Canadian students in the fact that hockey is the sport up there. So we enjoy going up there and finding them. The other important thing to highlight about our team dynamic is that we have an array of different students in different majors. And they are able to be extremely successful at both the athletic side of what they love and the academic side of what they love. We have young student athletes that are in our business school, in our biomedical school, in our physician assistance program, in our COLA school, which is liberal arts. And we've had countless alum that have taken their experience here at RIT and built on it into the future, ranging everywhere from doctors, firefighters, professional athletes, you name it, it's sort of happened. So just when you look at it as a whole, RIT is a pretty special place in what it has to offer academically and athletically.
Great. And what year is this for you as head coach?
Yeah, so I just finished my third season, headed into my fourth season. So extremely grateful to work at the school where I was able to play and grow as a human being. So looking forward to next year, and each year gets a little bit better and you get a little more immersed in the community. So headed to number 4 soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Bill, same question to you. Can you tell us about your tenure as head coach, about the team, your division, your conference, anything else you want to share?
Sure. So we're the coach of the men's soccer team. This will be the what is it? The 63rd season coming up for RIT men's soccer. We compete in the NCAA Division III. That's we play in the Liberty League, which is one of the top. There's 43 conferences in Division III in the United States, and typically the Liberty League's rated in the top 5 in the country. So it's really competitive. All the guys on our team are getting some form of academic merit scholarship and potentially need-based aid. We got a really good team. The RIT is a very diverse place, both from an academic portfolio perspective and from a geographic reach. There's kids from all 50 states at RIT and over 100 countries. We'll have 7 international students on the team next year, including Joey, currently our one Canadian representative. We had a very good spring season, somewhat of a young squad, but it's really a great place that combines a combination of outstanding athletics and very competitive football. I'd say we have about 2/3 of our team are either engineering or computer science. Then we have student athletes in the College of Business. I think Joey's one of 4 or 5 in the Saunders College of Business. We have players in the College of Health Science and Technology, College of Art and Design, College of Science, and College of Engineering and Technology. So great place. I think we were very familiar with soccer in Canada. We're some of the players who played in the World Cup for Canada, we've seen play. Joey's played with a club that some of them came from. So we're up there often, and we're motivated to try and attract some more student athletes who align with RIT to come in and join our program.
Great, thanks so much. So one of the burning questions for a lot of prospective student athletes is how to go about getting noticed and being recruited. Could each of you speak about how you approach the recruitment process and any advice you would give to prospective athletes? We'll start with Celeste again.
Yeah, fantastic question. I'll say for us, there's a couple different strategies that we use to go recruiting. First and foremost, I'll say I think the women's hockey world is smaller than you think, in that you know, when we first go out to take a look, we usually have some sort of idea of where we're headed and why. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't collect some other people as we go out. But just due to numbers, usually the talent level we're looking for, there's a pretty good grasp on. The best thing you can do though is to advocate for yourself. And with a lot of changes that came out of COVID and the influx of video and how to watch players from sitting at my desk, the best way to get our eyes on you is to send an email. And we have recruiting rules that don't allow us to speak to players or, you know, respond really to those emails until they go into their junior year of high school or their grade 11 year for our Canadians on the call. And in that email, you should tell us some information about yourself, what you're interested in the school for, maybe what tournaments you're headed to, what number you wear, what graduation year you are, which is a really important piece of information. You can always send a highlight video. That does not hurt you. It can only help you, but it's not essential, especially with the influx of video. The other thing that I think is important is to use your coaches to advocate for you. So if you are in constant communication with your coaches, they can get a hold of us in usually an email form or a phone form, and advocate on your behalf. They're around you the most, and we have plenty of coaches that reach out to us to communicate that. So that is the best way, I believe, to like get noticed or communicate. I'll also add one thing is that it's important for you to be a conscious consumer. So make sure you check out RIT and understand, are you interested in that school first and foremost? Do they have a major that you're interested in? Is it a place where you can be like academically successful? Because that stuff it allows you to stand out when you reach out to us. You're like, oh, you've actually done some research and checked out RIT and you know what we're about. So just a little piece of advice.
Great, thanks so much. Bill, same question.
Thanks. Yeah, Celeste has covered a lot of it. So as a Division III university, and we actually potentially we can begin speaking with students as soon as they enter high school. So, you know, your first year of high school, we're permitted to have communication with you by email or phone. I think she kind of nailed down how we learn about student athletes. I'll frame, we typically engage with about 500 prospective student athletes per year who either reach out to us or we see them play. And, you know, we quickly try to narrow that down. I mean, typically in a year, we're adding 4 to 8 new student athletes. So there's a bit of work to do to get to know kids. They have to align with RIT, meaning they have to find them, they have to be aware of our academic programming, as Celeste talked about, and qualify academically. You have to align also from a soccer perspective. So year to year, it depends maybe on what qualities we're looking for relative to prospective students, attack, defense, or otherwise. We tend to travel and we go West Coast, we go to Florida, we're up in Canada. We have a number of people we engage with internationally to help us identify international prospects. So I would say certainly by your junior year, you should, if you're interested, you should be making some connection with us and establishing a dialogue. We typically, you know, there's so many opportunities to see prospective students. So unless we typically see players on video first and are able to qualify to some degree their potential fit with us. And then from there, it's going out and seeing players play. Really important that we get to know who you are as a person. We think that what we call the psychosocial, the character attributes of prospective student athletes are most critical to your potential success in college. So, you know, we want to get to know you, and that takes time. So just encourage student athletes who are considering playing in college, and start that process pretty early.
Great, thank you. You've both mentioned success at the university level. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like? And maybe it's great having a Division I team here and a Division III team here. Where's that balance between athletics and academics? What type of travel commitments do the students have? And just your general thoughts about what success looks like as a student athlete.
Yeah, so we're extremely fortunate. I think sort of to add to Bill, like when we recruit or go find players, we want to make sure that they fit academically and they also have the attributes that allow them to manage their time and be dedicated to what they're doing. Hockey is a really unique sport where it spans basically both semesters and pretty much the full semesters, where when we hit campus, we're starting our practice sessions and our training sessions, and then come September we enter season that runs all the way through March, and then we do spring training. So there's really no off quote unquote season in the academic year. Our players have to be diligent about managing, I call them like the big 3 areas, right? Their athletic commitment, their academic commitment, and then their just like personal life commitment, which are all important in that success. You know, I think usually, you know, they learn that process a little bit in year 1 and hone it out as it goes. But yeah, it's just a matter of time management and staying on top of different stuff. I'll also add one key piece that's important when you get to college is that if you need help, it's important to advocate that you do need help. And those people that do know how to ask for help or manage that, really can strive or can take a step back and be like, okay, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. For us, we're fortunate where our travel schedule, we play 34 regular season games. We play on a Friday, Saturday, and our Sunday's an off day where our students are allowed to recharge batteries, do their academics, do that like other part of life. But we travel at maximum on a bus like 6 hours to the Boston area. Most of our trips are 3 to 4 hours. We have quite a few trips that are an hour down the road, 2.5 hours down the road. We get to have fun and get on a plane 1 to 2 times a year and go elsewhere to travel. And then lastly, when we're doing that travel, Sarah might speak to this later, but a lot of our players are actively doing their work on the bus or doing work at the hotel. So it's a constant balance. It's not just an on-off switch at times. It's more like, hey, I have an hour here, I need to use it for that. And just staying on top of it, really.
Great, thank you. Bill, same question.
Again, Celeste covered a lot of it. I think when you come into RIT as a student athlete, we start with kind of trying to make sure we have alignment with expectations, and we have some non-negotiables. We call them priorities and expectations. Our priorities are faith and family is first, academics is second, then RIT soccer. And in the big picture, we think that's saying you're making a big commitment to soccer. Although our season doesn't bridge 2 seasons, we're a year-round sport. Student athletes who come into the men's soccer program are signing up for a 365-day, 4-year commitment. We have a pretty active off season in the February to end of the spring semester timeframe, including a spring season. I think there's never a question that academics are a priority. If you have class when we have training, and we do a lot of work to align our training sessions so there aren't conflicts with student athlete classes. And we have flexibility to change our training times to ensure we get the most student athletes at training. But Monday through Thursday on a week in the fall, we don't have a training session that everybody can make the whole session. Typically 1 or 2 or 3 players have to show up a half hour early or leave a half hour, show up a half hour late or leave a half hour early. That said, it's generally not a compromise for us. Our team has typically been an academic All-America team relative to their academic performance. We had a 3.67 GPA 2 years ago, a 3.45 last year. We don't have grades in yet. Finals are finishing up, so we'll get grades for this year. But I mean, the kids who come to RIT know it's an investment in their career, and their career ultimately is going to be their academic pursuit. They're serious about soccer. They invest a ton of time. But in the end, what they're coming to study and learn about is going to be the priority. We look for student athletes who have ambition athletically. Because you're going to sacrifice some things socially, primarily. Time-wise, it's a significant commitment. But I would tell you that anybody who goes through an athletic experience in college will tell you it's something they'd never trade. The relationships that you develop will last the rest of your life. You're going to have 3 or 4, maybe 10 teammates who are going to be best friends for the rest of your life. And they're going to be rich, deep relationships. So the trade-off from the social sacrifices you make, we think it's a win to be an athlete. We think it's an advantage. So, and I think most of the kids who come through the program would tell you that.
Great, thanks so much. I really appreciate all the information and insight that you provided. I always learn something new from both of you, which I super appreciate. And if you're able to stay through the hour, I'm sure there'll be some questions at the end. But now I'd like to invite Sarah and Joey to come on. And if we could just reintroduce yourselves, let us know what part of Canada you're from, a little bit about your academic major, And anything else you want to share that you're involved in on campus? Sarah, do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. So again, I'm a goalie in the women's hockey team here. I'm a finance major, just finished second year going into third year. I'm from about 45 minutes outside of downtown Toronto in Whitby, Ontario. Um yeah.
Great, thanks. Joey.
Hello, everyone again. So just finished my second year like Sarah. I'm a defender on the men's varsity soccer team. And I just switched to MIS, which is basically just a type of business with a more like tech background. And yeah, I'm from a suburb of Toronto called Vaughan, Ontario.
Great. And MIS stands for Management Information Systems, right?
Correct.
Perfect. All right. So can you tell us a little bit about your university search and how that went for you and how you ended up picking RIT?
Yeah, so for me, I was looking at a couple other schools here in the States and also some Canadian schools as well. Um, I had interest kind of all the way through high school, and then once it kind of came like grade 11, grade 12 year, I kind of narrowed it down to one or two schools in the States and then also one or two Canadian schools as well. Built relationships with a lot of coaches and then visited some schools. And then once it came down to it, I narrowed it down to RIT and Queen's University at home in Kingston, Ontario. And then after speaking more with Coach Celeste and doing a Zoom um, meeting with her to kind of see campus. At the time it was COVID, so I couldn't actually come down to campus. But after that, I kind of fell in love with it. And then that's how I ended up here at RT.
Thank you.
So yeah, I started out my process of trying to find schools, I'd say this summer before my grade 11 year. And I kind of got lucky because my relationship with Coach Garno developed quite quickly. But kind of at first, I didn't really know what I wanted. I knew I wanted to do business and I knew I wanted to go to school somewhere in the Northeast. And so I kind of just started doing a lot of research on schools, good academic programs, good athletic programs. And RIT kind of landed on my list of like 5 to 10 schools, I'd say, and started to do more individual research. And then I came to an ID camp for soccer in the fall of my grade 11 year. And that's where I met the team, saw them play. I was talking to Coach Garno previously before this, and then I got to talk to him in person. So I met him, and then there's actually an open house the same weekend. So got to do a tour of RIT, talked to Mark briefly, ran into him. And yeah, so after that, I kind of fell in love with RIT. Just because of like the academic reputation and kind of the vibes I got on campus, and it kind of separated it from any other school that I visited. So that's why I ended up at RIT.
Awesome. Thank you. So the two of you have both been through 2 years now, right, at RIT, 4 semesters. Can you describe what it's like balancing academics, athletics, and your personal life? How's that gone for you? And any tips that you have for future student athletes?
Yeah, so for me, I found it at the beginning, it was a little bit of a learning experience, but now that I've kind of gotten under my belt, it's nice. All the professors here are really understanding that we're student athletes and that we're on the road some days we have to miss class, and they're really helpful. And the fact that if we miss a test or an exam or something, they're really flexible to make it up. And then also like just class materials, they'll help us get through that. And then as Coach Celeste mentioned earlier, just finding time, like when we're traveling on the road, like if you have an hour or two here, just to try and get some work done. And then personal life, I have a job on campus as well. So balancing that with also traveling and academics can sometimes be tough, but I just think that just having a specific time kind of each day to sit down and do some work is really helpful.
Great, thanks. Joey, what about for you?
So yeah, like Coach Garno said, academics is priority over soccer at RIT. And I knew that coming into it, but something I learned the hard way was, how rigorous the academics are at RIT. I kind of was lucky with high school. The academics weren't as hard, so I didn't have to manage my time as well. And then it's kind of a wake up call my first semester. I realized like, with the amount of training that I'm doing, I really need to sit down, schedule my time better so I can, get my assignments on time and get everything on the academic side to a higher level. So I think that was the biggest learning curve for me, was just learning how to manage my time, and it's something that helped me and something I still do 2 years into school. And then, like Sarah said, I've never had a really bad experience with a professor. I think the thing that they want you to learn is that you kind of have to meet them in the middle, knowing that you're an athlete. They want to hold you accountable, and you can't expect them to kind of work around everyone else just for you, because if you're missing class or an exam because of competition, they want you to go to them and ask for support and not just expect it. So, all my professors are super understandable. I've only had to miss, I think, like 3 times I've had to miss class because of sports, and all 3 times was really, really helpful. And then also just being a student athlete on campus, it's super amazing. I think they kind of give a lot of support to athletics. A few examples I can just think of is like having full-time physical therapists. They want to see you excel on the field. They want to make sure you're healthy. We have sessions for mental health, for anxiety, so I can help you. And then just the facilities, I think, is amazing at RIT. You can use them whenever you want, not just when your team tracks in. And late at night, if I want to go for a run, I go to the indoor track, which, those things are something I really love to do. So
Great. That's a perfect segue into my last question for both of you. What are some of your favorite things about RIT and about Rochester? A lot of the audience has never been to Rochester.
Yeah, I think just kind of being around campus, you meet a lot of different people, and even within athletics, everybody's really close knit. I think I've gotten to know Joey pretty well, and then like just other teams as well. Like we all like to get to know each other, and then kind of off campus, I guess. Downtown Rochester, there's a couple waterfalls that are really pretty. And there's the Blue Cross Arena, which is home to the Rochester Amerks of the AHL, and then the Nighthawks as well in the NLL. So there's a lot of different sporting events that happen within Rochester as well.
Good. And you're staying on for the summer, right? For co-op, is that right?
I am, yes.
So you're going to get to experience a whole nother part of Rochester, right? All the summer festivals.
Yeah, I'm really excited, especially for the Lilac Festival. I've heard that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it starts Friday. Awesome. What about you, Joey? What are your favorite things?
Yeah, so I'm gonna piggyback off of what Sarah said. One of my favorite things about RT is just the sense of community that I feel every day on a daily basis. I love how everyone's kind of supportive of one another and how diverse the student population is. And I think I said this last year, but one of my favorite things about RT is that we have higher end events, which is basically each sport has one game during their season, which is a tiger end game, and they give out free merchandise to all the students that go watch and support the teams. And I've never had to go to the bookstore because I've got like 4 free shirts from these events, and that's also a plus to it. But I just love watching, all my fellow athletes and supporting them, and kind of develops support to everyone around the community. So that's something that I love about RT, and it feels good when I see, fans come to our games. And that's also kind of how I met Sarah. And then I guess like my favorite thing around Rochester is, I didn't really know Rochester before I came to RIT. I thought it was like a town in the middle of nowhere, but there's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of I'm a big nature guy, I like going to parks and stuff like that. So me and my friends like to go on hikes, do that. Downtown's pretty nice to go with friends one night. So I think there's a lot of things to do in Rochester that people don't realize.
Awesome. Thank you both so very much. And congrats on the end of the semester. I'm going to now share my screen and share some information about RIT that hopefully you'll find helpful. And then we'll see what time we have left over for some more Q&A. So let me just pull this up here. All right, how does that look? Hopefully pretty good. So, I wanted to start out just by giving you a sense of the geography of New York State. It's a pretty big state, not as big as some of the Canadian provinces, but you can see the universities and colleges in New York State, and college is the same thing as university in the States. There's over 150 of them. So there's a lot of choices of universities. RIT you can see right there. So we're about an hour and 20 minutes from Niagara Falls, Ontario, and about 3 hours from Toronto. So pretty close. A lot of our Canadian students from other provinces will fly right into Pearson and then make the short drive on to Rochester. And then, of course, New York City has a boatload of universities, and that's about 5 to 6 hours from Rochester. So Toronto is actually the closest major city for all of us. And the Rochester area has about 1 million people in the greater area, to give you a sense of scale. Now, the RIT campus is in a suburb of Rochester, about 5 miles south of downtown. It's a very modern campus. I think it's hard to capture the essence of campus through one photo, but this kind of gives you the sense that it's very residential. There's lots of residence halls and apartments on campus. It's a walkable campus. The loop around campus is a 5-kilometer path. So that's kind of to give you a sense of scale. But it's very easy to get around. You don't have to have a car at RIT, but you can have one as a first-year student if you want to. But there are shuttles provided by the university to make it easy to get off campus. So to give you a sense of the student body, we have close to 17,000 total students on the New York campus. We also have some overseas campuses that I'll talk about, but RIT is a private university. And there you can see it's primarily an undergraduate university. We have a very diverse student body, including about 1,000 deaf and hard of hearing students, which makes that a very unique aspect of our campus, and it's easy to learn sign language. One of the most shocking things to Canadian students and their parents are the class sizes at RIT and the student to faculty ratio. And while these are common at many private universities in the US, it's very different than the Canadian universities. So you're going to find a smaller, more personalized experience in the classroom and much more access to your professors, which is great. Now, the coaches alluded to some of our academic areas that are represented at RIT, but in total, we have about 90 different bachelor degree programs. We also have about 80 graduate and PhD programs and 100 minors, which would be a 5-course sequence in an area that interests you outside of your major. But our website has a listing of all of them. We're a true STEAM university in that we have a wide range of STEM programs, but also a wide range of visual arts, liberal arts, and business programs too. So we are considered a comprehensive university, not just a tech-based university, although tech is infused in all of our programs. One of the biggest distinguishing features about RIT compared to many other American universities is the emphasis on learning outside of the classroom. And most of our majors accomplish that through a cooperative education or co-op. Canadians tend to be more attuned to co-op as a part of a university experience, which I love. And you're going to find that at RIT. So about 80% of our majors require that you co-op as part of your time on campus, but we're ranked in the top 11 for US universities for co-op programs. So very highly recognized on that front. And a lot of our individual academic programs are also ranked in the top 100. And you have to keep in mind that there's over 3,000 universities and colleges in the US. So a much higher number that to choose from. So in terms of co-op, just a little bit more about that. We have a huge team of professional, career, and co-op advisors based on your major to help you find co-op when you're a student. And as a Canadian student, you are eligible to co-op in the US, and you're also eligible to work in the US for at least 1 year after you graduate and be supported by RIT, and for STEM-based majors, up to 3 years. But co-op by definition is paid. You're not paying tuition or fees during that time. And some of our majors, including engineering and computer science, are designed to be 5-year programs because they have additional co-op requirements, primarily in years 3 and 4. Business students like Sarah and Joey, they're completing their degrees in 4 years, and they're doing co-ops in the summertime, not during the academic year. And that also works out for our student athletes too, most of the time where co-ops are in the summer. As you can imagine, the placement rates are very high. We have all different partnerships with worldwide companies. And at rit.edu/career info, if there's one thing you explore after today, you can do a deep dive into all different types of majors and see the skill sets you'll graduate with, typical job titles for different majors, average starting salaries, companies that we work with most often for that major. So it's really great if you want to explore that further, and could even find some helpful information if you're deciding between a few majors and want some of those kind of insights of what could happen for you depending on the major that you choose at any university. So earlier I mentioned some overseas campuses. We do have 2 in China, 2 in Croatia, 1 in Kosovo, and 1 in the United Arab Emirates. So those are opportunities to study in an RIT curriculum overseas, but we also have dozens and dozens of other partner universities that cover a lot of the rest of the globe should you wish to study abroad. During your undergraduate years, we also support work abroad if you want to do a co-op placement overseas as well. So another thing that students take advantage of at RIT oftentimes is combining a graduate program. Like I mentioned before, we have a ton of master's programs or graduate programs. Some of you may get admitted to RIT with a bachelor's master's offer. So if you're one of our top candidates, you may see that as part of your acceptance letter, and that allows you to do a bachelor's master's combination in an accelerated format. We offer over 50 combinations in this format. We also have a 4+1 MBA, which many students will take advantage of. And for any of you aspiring architects out there, we do have a 4+2 with our interior design program and our Master's of Architecture program. We have a lot of other partner programs, and I've listed a few of them here. We have some medical-based programs, including a partnership with LECOM that you can apply for through high school directly with LECOM. We also have a SUNY Upstate Medical University partnership, which is a 4+4 BSMD direct entry, no MCATs required if you're admitted to this program. This particular program, you would apply to RIT by November 15th of your grade 12 year. And then also we have a 3+3 BSJD program for any of you aspiring lawyers out there. And that would require you to apply to a liberal arts major at RIT or our individualized study program. Many of these combinations have special discounts at the graduate level in terms of your tuition to make it an affordable choice. And I'm happy to talk to you individually should you have interest in any of these combinations. So I'm going to talk a little bit about athletics and student life and then pivot more towards some of the newer things at RIT and admissions and financial aid to round out our time. So this is a list of all of our intercollegiate teams. We heard from Coach Celeste and Coach Bill about the women's hockey at the Division I level and the men's soccer team at the Division III level. These are our other Division III teams. And then men's hockey would also be a Division I team, and they compete in Atlantic hockey. The Division III teams do compete in the Liberty League, like the soccer team. The men's lacrosse team is ranked number 3 in the country. They have a lot of Canadians on their team. They've won the past 2 national championships, and they are now in the NCAA Division III tournament, aiming for a 3rd consecutive championship. So good luck to the men's lacrosse team. We also have a ton of club sport teams and intramural teams. So club sport teams do not have the same level of practice commitment that our intercollegiate teams would have, but they do travel, sometimes just in the more immediate area of Rochester, sometimes different parts of New York State, but not as much of a travel or practice commitment. But some of them are competitive, including hockey and lacrosse, to name a couple. Intramural teams would compete against other RIT teams and would have a very insignificant commitment outside of it. Esports is huge for any of you interested in esports at the university, but we have over 300 different clubs that you can get involved in. We do have fraternities and sororities at RIT, almost 30 of them, but it's about 5% of the student population. So it's not an overwhelming part of the RIT culture, but it is present if you want to be involved in that. They're very philanthropic or community service-based organizations, and there are hundreds of annual events throughout the year. A big part of the RIT community is also the performing arts interested students. So there's close to 1,500 now, actually, of students that really value being involved in performing arts, dance groups, theater groups, choral groups, instrumental groups, and we do allow you to apply to become a performing arts scholar. and have additional scholarship funding as part of being part of the performing arts. We're very excited that we'll be opening this fall a brand new dance studio and black box theater, and then coming in early 2025, a musical theater performance center as well. It is a very residential campus, as I mentioned, and we have a variety of different housing options available to you. Starting in year 2, you can live off campus, but most students do stay on campus. Many of the off-campus options are right across the street from campus. They're furnished, they're very student-friendly, very modern. So there's a lot of great choices there. We have over 20 campus eateries. We just opened a new one, which is a New York City style deli, which is a kosher dining facility. So that's very exciting. We have lots of convenience stores, coffee shops available, and super helpful nutritional information, and a great team in the dining area to help support any students with any dietary needs that they have. There's a glimpse of our one of our workout facilities. This is a 2-story workout facility in our main athletic facility. Behind this that you can't see is a gorgeous aquatic center. Joey mentioned earlier the indoor track that he uses, which is also in this connecting building. There's actually 2 indoor tracks, racquetball courts, basketball courts, volleyball, squash, all that good. Now there's a golf simulator. I mean, come on, pretty cool stuff. So we have a tunnel system that connects many of our academic buildings and skyways, and then also our residence halls. So it's very convenient to get around on some of those colder winter days and make it to the dining hall, visit your friends, do your laundry, go shopping at the corner store, things like that. We heard a little bit about Rochester. I can only echo what Sarah and Joey shared about that. I mean, it's a very university student-friendly city. It's a very affordable city. It's easy to get around. You have very easy access to ski resorts, a lot of nature. I myself take advantage of the Erie Canal pathway for biking and running. We're home to a lot of festivals, as I mentioned before, especially in the summertime. And so there's always things to do. And the Strong Museum of Play is in Rochester, which is home to the National Toy Hall of Fame, which is really cool. And they have a vintage arcade section, which a lot of us love to check out from time to time. Some of the new things on campus, we have a brand new cybersecurity building that just opened in 2020 during the pandemic. So over 50,000 square feet, super high tech facilities. If this is a program of interest to you, you're going to find just an amazing place to study and to collaborate with others interested in cybersecurity. Our business school is undergoing a big renovation, as Sarah and Joey can attest to. So it's close to doubling the size of the Saunders College of Business. They're going to have an amazing event space there, and just a lot more friendly spaces for learning about business. So we're really excited about that. This coming fall, we're opening the Shed, which sounds like a really small, humble building, but it's anything but. It's over 100,000 square feet. Over $100 million facility, which is going to feature all sorts of super cool maker spaces, that black box theater that I talked about, the dance studio, and a lot of brand new classrooms with state-of-the-art classroom technology as well. It's in the center of campus, so you can't miss it. And we're really excited to be able to utilize that space soon. Other things, I mentioned the music performance theater that will be coming in 2025. We are working on a new residence hall common space, which will be a great space for living and learning right on campus. And then our Athletics Tiger Stadium is slated to open in 2025. So we've upgraded a ton of our athletic facilities recently, including a beautiful new turf field for the soccer and lacrosse teams, baseball and softball fields, a brand new track for the track and field team. But this stadium will really be a great addition as well. All right, so talking about admissions and aid, we are a differential admissions based university, which means that we ask for you to apply directly to a major or to an exploration option. And you can see we have several exploration options. These are one-year programs if you're not sure about a specific major, and it gives you time to explore over the course of your first year and then decide on a major. So that's great. We also have the individualized study program, which is a customized degree program should you wish to really make it your own. But most students would apply directly to a major. You still can change your major once you're at RIT in most cases. But if you're pretty sure that you want something specific, you can apply directly to it and start in that from day one. So here's a glimpse at our average GPA and SATs on the US scale for the GPA. We definitely adjust that for Canadian scales. And then the SAT and ACT are optional. So you can choose to apply with testing or without. And about half of our students apply without. So it's not a big deal if you don't have that testing as part of your application. We practice holistic admission review, which is true of a lot of US universities. And what that means is that we're looking beyond just your academics, and we're also taking into consideration recommendation letters, your resume, your like activities, awards that you've received, your essay. So there's a lot of different factors that go into your admission review. Ultimately, we're looking to select students that we feel can be successful academically and just as a person as well, right? That you're going to be a contributing member of the campus in meaningful ways. For those of you who are aspiring artists or designers or film and animators, we do require an artistic portfolio. And earlier I mentioned the BSMD program with SUNY Upstate. That specific program does require the SAT or ACT. That's a SUNY Upstate requirement. And it's a 1360 or higher SAT or a 29 ACT. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about that, since it is a different timeline and different requirements. So speaking of timelines, to give you a sense of what to prepare for in your grade 12 year, should you choose to apply to RIT, we have 3 different decision plans: early decision 1, early decision 2, and regular decision. Early decision is a binding option for students that know that they want to come to RIT. It's their clear top choice, and it allows us to review your application sooner, give you a decision sooner, give you your financial aid and scholarship information sooner, but we would also expect a commitment sooner as well. So many of the recruited athletes will go through an early decision 1 or 2 option because they have an athletic commitment, they've had an academic pre-screen, and everything is just lining up that they want to be part of the RIT community. So it makes a lot of sense. But about 1,000 of our incoming class of 3,000 go through an early decision 1 or early decision 2 choice. If you are not sure that RIT is your top choice, you should apply regular decision, and you would apply by January 15th, and you'd find out by mid-March. May 1st is the US commitment for university. So students just committed last week. And I know that's a little bit different from the Canadian timeline. But we're happy to help you along that decision path when the time comes about committing. So some information about financial aid and scholarships before we wrap up here. RIT is a university that does allow Canadians to apply for need-based financial aid. We have our own Canadian financial aid application to take that into consideration. And so your financial aid and scholarship award from RIT could have a merit-based scholarship, which is based on your academics, and then also an RIT grant, which is based on your financial needs. So we really want to work with you to make RIT an affordable choice, because we know that it's a big investment and the exchange rate is oftentimes not as favorable as we'd like it to be, right? Other sources of funding that students will successfully use to help finance their education. Sarah talked about working on campus. That's certainly one way. Many Ontario residents will take advantage of OSAP funding, applying through the province of Ontario, because you can bring that funding to RIT. And then if you have an RESP, a savings plan, you can also use that funding to finance your education. And then for our Division I teams, hockey only, we have athletic scholarships. So that's a newer thing the past couple of years, which is also great for those athletes to take advantage of if they receive an athletic scholarship. So there's my contact information if you want to jot that down or take a photo of this slide. I do want to invite all of you that are current grade 10 and 11 students, or even grade 9 students really, that are heading into your final years of high school. We do have a virtual open house called Introducing RIT. We just launched the registration last week, but it's Monday, June 5th. At 6 o'clock, there'll be a lot of general helpful tips about applying to university. And at 7 o'clock, you can choose one of about 9 different academic areas to do a deep dive into and learn more about. So that is virtual, so super accessible for everybody. We'll also be having a college and careers event for rising grade 12 and grade 11 students, which will be more workshop based. And that is August 1st and 2nd. It's during the day and the registration's not open yet. It's free, it's open to anyone. So this is something you could put on your resume and also could be very helpful as you're trying to navigate what major may be the best fit for your interests. So I highly recommend that as well. If you're not on our mailing list, I would recommend signing up so we can invite you personally to these events and more events going in the future. Joey talked about our fall open house programs. We will have those again in the fall, typically October and November. We try to have them on Saturdays where possible to make it convenient for you to come down. And then we have admitted student programs in March and April as well, if you're making some final decisions. So I know that was a fast round of information, but hopefully that gave you a flavor of the university. And as a next step, you can reach out if you have more interest. So I'm going to stop my share and invite Victoria to help us with Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing in the presentation, Mark. So I will start with you, Mark, with some questions that we already have, and then I'll bring the coaches and the student athletes back up. So all of you viewers today, thank you for putting in all of your questions. You still have some time if you want to put those in. So we'll get started. So Mark, can you tell us about the MIS major? This question from Janet. Thank you, Janet, which stands for Management Information Systems.
Yeah, and I'll invite Joey to chime in because he's probably more of an expert than me. But you know, for when I hear a student that has an interest in business, but they also have an interest in computing, I immediately think of MIS because it integrates both of those areas. But the MIS curriculum also affords you the opportunity to learn about all the areas of business. So you really become a computing professional, but also a business expert. So Joey, what do you think?
Yeah, you kind of described it head on. So yeah, I was a management major before I switched to MIS. So I kind of wanted to learn all about business, but I wanted kind of a tech background, but I didn't really have that in high school. I didn't learn, you know, any coding or anything about technology. But the more I talked to my advisor, I really wanted to learn more about it. So yeah, like Mark said, it's kind of a mix of business and technology all kind of pushed into one major.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you for that. And so our next question is about, so another question from Janet. So she wants you to talk about the direct entry right out of high school for the medical school at RIT.
Yeah, so we have the partnership with SUNY Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, which is great. We have some Canadians that are actually part of the program. So basically, if you get admitted into this program, you're guaranteed a spot in medical school without taking the MCATs, which is the medical school entrance exam. So it's really like, wow, I just need to focus on doing well academically. I don't have to like stress out about getting into medical school. So it really is an amazing opportunity for the students that get into the program. And it only requires an application to RIT. It does not require a simultaneous application to medical school, which makes it much more manageable as a high school student. So apply by November 15th, reach out to me with questions. I'm happy to help you. And then the other program that we have is through LECOM, and that's a DO program, not an MD program. And I'm not a medical expert, so don't ask me the difference, but that does require an application from high school directly through LECOM, and they support you through the application process.
Okay. And then we had a question about schooling costs, and I know you touched on that in your presentation. So where can they go? Where's the best place for them to go to get that information if they want to review it after the session?
After which information?
Schooling, like the costs of the school.
Oh, financial information?
Yes,
Sure.
yes,
So
yes.
we have it all published on our website under student financial services on RIT's website, but you can also reach out to me and I can help walk you through what to expect in terms of the financial aid application process, because ultimately you won't be paying what's listed on that site as the cost of attendance because you are going to qualify for scholarships, financial aid, or both. And Sarah and Joey, what has your experience been with applying for financial aid?
Yeah, so for me, in first year, we received the Canadian financial aid form from Mark, and my parents just had to fill it out with regards to their income, and then we just sent it back to Mark, and then we got a read on what we were applicable for with financial aid.
And Joey, that's something you have to do each year, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I was gonna talk about that. Pretty much the same process, but all of my questions, I just had to go to the financial services center and they were kind of answering it all for me and they're super helpful. So I mean, don't hesitate to reach out is my advice to you guys. Because that's what they helped me a lot. So
Thank you. And so we had a question about just stated w- academically, what are the requirements? Like what do you look for? So Mark, I don't know if you want to go from your side and then the coaches, maybe you can discuss that from your side as well.
Sure, yeah, it'd be really interesting to hear from them because they do a lot of the pre-screening, even on the academic side. But from an admission standpoint, we're gonna evaluate your candidacy based on what major you pick or which exploration program you pick. And some majors have different prerequisites in high school. I'll talk about the strictest one, which is engineering. So if you're interested in becoming an engineer at RIT, you have to have pre-calculus or like a functions class, preferably calculus if you're able to take it while you're in high school. Chemistry and physics would also be minimum expectations for admission. And then we're going to be looking at your grades, especially in those courses that are most important to be successful in that major. So our expectation for most majors is you're earning mostly the US equivalent of A's and B's in your courses. And if you do provide SAT or ACT testing, we would look at that as well.
And then from at least our perspective, all student athletes to like be an NCAA student have to go through the eligibility center, which there's a set of core courses that every student athlete or PSA has to complete. So that's like a first check. Generally, like we want, at least this is our program, we want better students because the better students tend to be just more responsible, time management, all of that fit into what we're trying to do a little bit better. It's very similar to what Mark just explained. Depending on your major is where your grades and your prereqs need to stand. So again, we have those conversations individually, and that's usually pretty on in the recruiting process. We start to collect that information.
Yeah, I'd say the only difference for the Division III sports is there is no clearinghouse. There's no set classes you have to take. But I mean, Celeste hit the most important point, which is anybody who's coming into RIT is exceptional academically. And if you want to be an athlete, we think you actually have to be more exceptional because of the demands to be successful.
And can you touch on scholarships? Just anything that you like to discuss or bring up about scholarships?
Sure. So for women's and men's ice hockey, we were awarded per the NCAA to grant athletic scholarships starting like this past fall, so the fall of 22. It's really exciting news for us. We've been competing at this level, both programs without athletic scholarships, so it allows us to level the playing field. RIT was always supportive in that pursuit. It was a matter of making sure the NCAA allowed us due to some older rules. So it's good news for us. It allows like our student athletes to be rewarded for what they do day in and day out. So that's like the biggest piece to it. And those athletic scholarships are important in our ability to like attract especially international students.
Anything else you'd like to add, Coach Bill or Mark?
I think we don't give athletic scholarships, but I think, and I don't know this for a fact because I'm kind of blind to financial aid for our student athletes in Division III, but I know I would suspect that everybody on our team is certainly getting academic merit scholarship, typically pretty substantial, as well as some form of need-based grant.
Awesome. And then men's hockey. So we're getting into some hockey question. So what division level is the men's hockey team?
So they're also Division I, like the women's team.
Okay, awesome. And so, Coach Celeste, what are your thoughts about a gap year for women's hockey?
For if you are trying to go Division 1, like after that gap year, I would say make sure you have a conversation with the coaching staff and that there's interest there. I'm a believer, like, it never hurts you. It's just having realistic and yeah, just realistic expectations coming out of that gap year, whether it's for an academic reason, whether it's for an athletic reason, or just a reason you want to keep playing a little bit longer. Um, there are always positives. Sometimes it allows student athletes to mature and sort of feel their way through some of the preparation that goes into going into college. But again, like, just the having a realistic expectation about what it looks like coming out of that gap year is important.
Thank you. And then we had a question specifically about men's hockey, just any camps that may be coming up for 2024 prospects. But I'm curious, just in your own specific fields as well, are there any camps in your specific areas?
So I'll just go, if you go onto RIT Athletics website, you can check out what camps are available for all sports. Um, for us, we regularly have prospective um, camps, and then we also just have community camps. They're run throughout the year and through the summer.
Yeah, I would, all the athletic teams have what we call prospect or ID type camps or clinics. We do a series of half-day clinics, which we typically tie in with some admissions open house. And then we have a residential camp in the summer. I would suspect that over half the student athletes in our program attend either an ID camp or a residential camp or both.
Thank you. And then a question about baseball, baseball, baseball. So I want to say it 3 times because they said it 3 times as well. Do you have any comments or thoughts about baseball and the commitment to development, or where Tony could probably find some more information about the baseball program?
You should reach out to Coach Grow. You'll find his contact info on the website, and you won't have any trouble with him engaging with you. He's a major personality on campus, and actually the baseball team's having a fantastic season. They're playing in they're the final four of their conference tournament, right? Starting this weekend.
Awesome. And so we're just getting comments about just being thankful for you all today. So just wanted to say from the audience just that the presentation has been wonderful and very informative. So just thank you for that. And the audience, I've seen the heart emojis and the applause. So just thank you for your interaction and engagement today. And thank you for staying over a little with us. I just want to thank just Mark, Joey, Coach Celeste, Sarah, and Coach Bill for joining us today and sharing RIT with us. Thank you so much. All right.
Thanks, Victoria.
You're welcome. And all the viewers, we will see you next time on a College Tracker Show. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.